Up next on The Reveal. Thousands of children abandoned to the state by parents who don't know what else to do.
Your mental health will decline. It's just a lot.
The Reveal exposes an unthinkable act made out of desperation and love.
Never did I want my child to leave my home. I just wanted help.
From our Midtown studios in Atlanta, The Reveal begins now with our multi-Emmy and National Mural Award-winning team of investigators.
Welcome to The Reveal. I'm Rebecca Lindstrom. A shocking headline that reveals a heartbreaking reality. A few years ago, a group of women came forward to support a mom who had abandoned her son at Grady Hospital. They didn't blame the mom, they blamed the system. Turns out more than 1,200 children have been abandoned to the state's child welfare system in the past 5 years. As a mom myself, I had to know more. I had to know what made it so difficult to keep children like Kayleigh. Kayleigh loves to sing. It took a few moments for her to warm up to the idea of singing for me.
You ain't got no one to hold you, you ain't got no one to care.
But once she started, she seemed almost impossible to stop. I didn't want her to stop. She seemed happy. Music is an important part of Kayleigh's life.
You're home with me, right where you belong.
Are you right where you belong, Kayleigh?
Yeah.
Did you have any idea when she was born that there were going to be mental or physical challenges?
She would projectile vomit across the room, and just kind of, sometimes she would like seize in my arms and kind of her eyes would roll back. This is you right before your first brain surgery.
Oh yeah, girl.
If Kayleigh's life were a song,
Don't do it.
the sheet music would be filled with diagnoses instead of notes. Intellectual disability, mitochondrial disorder, leaky gut, oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, and PTSD. And those seizures, doctors believe they were caused by a Chiari malformation,
which in layman's terms is like the brain has grown too big for the skull.
Surgery addressed the physical deformity, but not the developmental delays and behavioral problems.
She can't really count money. She could not tell time on a standard clock.
It also means she's impulsive, has fits of aggression, and a habit of running away.
There was a brief period where it was very, very scary in our house. You know, the damage to the home and, you know, throwing things. My child will get out of a moving car on I-20 and run across that freeway.
Early on, the stress and focus on Kayleigh's needs ended Christina's marriage.
Me and my dad.
At the beach.
That me and my dad.
Constant calls to the school and doctor's appointments ended her career. In 2019, they lost their home.
Why you wanna fight?
At 16, Kayleigh just wanted the song to end, intentionally overdosing on 2 medications.
You ain't never gonna fight.
It was then in desperation to get Kayleigh better access to treatment, Christina gave up custody of her daughter.
Never did I want my child to leave my home. I just wanted help. I felt like I failed her. I remember I couldn't get out of bed for a week. It was
Dealing with a child with these issues is exhausting.
Tom Rawlings, the former director of Georgia's Division of Family and Children's Services, says when it comes to abandonment, there is really 2 groups.
There's this one group, the little ones.
First are the parents who just can't cope. Last year, that made up about 5% of the children that came into DFAC's custody. They are usually babies or young children with parents who struggle with severe substance abuse or mental health issues. Then there are children like Kayleigh. That's another 12%.
They have tried and tried and tried to get help for the child, and they just cannot do it anymore. They want to care for their child, but what if their own child is perhaps a danger to other children in the home?
What are the gaps? What's As part of a data fellowship with the USC Annenberg Center for Health Journalism, we accessed information on all of these children to learn about their stories, their songs, why they came into care, and the costs associated.
In any given year, our agency spends about $40–50 million.
Do you remember the time when you were away from your mom?
No.
When you were at the group home?
No.
You don't remember it?
No.
I think you remember.
No.
You just don't want to talk about it.
No, I don't. No, I don't, Mama. No. 'Cause I'm all human.
Kaylee, now 19, is back at home with her mother, but her struggles remain the same. As Kaylee sings, Christina writes, candidly sharing their experiences on Facebook. The title to this track, Keeping Kaylee.
Just stay with me. Please stay with me.
At first, it was about finding services and support to keep Kaylee at home. Now, Christina wants to keep Kaylee alive.
And I received a phone call from an older woman who had said, we've been keeping Kaylee here, and she's very sick. She's been, beaten and raped, and we believe she's been in trafficking. Can you come get her?
The last time Kaylee ran away, Christina found her here at a Motel 6 off Candler Road, once again vomiting and malnourished. There is certainly tragedy in the lyrics of Kaylee's life, but listen close and you'll hear something else.
You gotta live a little,
I never imagined we'd be sitting where we are today.
cry a little,
I just don't want my child to die.
and let your poor heart break a little.
When it really is that serious.
That's the story of, that's the glory of love.
Child's behavior out of control. Why this mom says the state is failing her family.
Everything I do, I think about Bradley and the guilt.
She says with laughter.
I can't cry 24/7. I miss him so much, but he requires more than what I can offer him as just a mom.
You kind of need a motion sickness pill to carry a Zoom conversation with April Bonacorsi. She literally has her hands full with Ava.
I'm sorry, the baby spit up all over me.
You're fine. And her son, Aiden. There's also her 14-year-old son, Bradley. You don't see him, but he's there.
Always in my heart. Talk about him every day. Everything I do, I think about Bradley. And the guilt.
She says with laughter.
I can't cry 24/7.
Guilt because Bradley is living at a residential treatment facility.
I want my shoes off.
You know how to take your shoes off, baby?
While her son Aiden can communicate what he wants and pout when he doesn't get it,
Be a big boy.
Bradley is nonverbal and has autism. Since he can't use words to communicate his feelings, he often speaks through aggression.
Stop.
If you find this video tough to watch, imagine living it.
He would wrap his whole body around your legs and bite you, and it would be to where, like, for a year I had like a piece of flesh that was just misshapen on my leg. He's very, very strong.
It's children like Bradley that are at risk of being abandoned to the state's child welfare system. About 40% who come into care this way are teens. Of those with a listed diagnosis, 58% have severe behavioral or mental health challenges. 40% have a developmental disability, and many come into care with all of these things. But what do you think we need to do differently to keep these children from being abandoned?
The systems aren't talking to each other.
It's more putting out her fires.
I asked the same question of more than 24 parents and child welfare organizations.
There's no care coordination system.
So it's kind of like everything needs to fit in this box.
There was always a barrier. It was always some kind of barrier.
They all mentioned the same problems. There are potentially 4 different state agencies involved in providing care, and there is little to no case management looking at the big picture. And that primary diagnosis, like bipolar or autism, tends to box children in to the type of care they can access.
The analogy I would say is if you need vegetables, getting more hamburger isn't really going to help. And sometimes parents honestly deal with what they can get rather than what they need.
Devin Orlin and Joe Sarah work for the Georgia Advocacy Office, a nonprofit that helps parents fight for what their child needs. The state's guide to helping parents openly admits getting help can be a long and difficult process.
Once a child qualifies for Medicaid, that comes with certain commitments. You're legally entitled to a case manager. You're legally entitled to supports within the home. And you're legally entitled to not have to fight, scrap, and go broke doing it.
Yet April says every service is a fight.
Calm down.
When she tried to get Bradley behavioral therapy, she ended up on a waiting list. And when his behavior got too bad to ignore, his insurance sent him to a treatment facility in South Carolina, 4 hours away from home.
That I thought, okay, it's going to be a couple months, and then he'll come back and we'll have a plan. 2 years later.
Do you have any of that?
No, I don't.
Now, after 2 years, Bradley's insurance says this level of care is no longer a medical necessity.
I know.
The problem? They still can't find a local therapist that will work with Bradley's aggression.
At discharge, services in the community and in the home must be identified, approved, and ready to go.
But Bradley's insurance didn't want to wait. April felt she was being forced to pit the safety of her children against each other. And when she pushed back, she says her insurance offered a solution.
Well, you can always give up partial custody to DFACS, and then he'll get the resources that he needs.
You heard right. An insurance company, knowing how all these claims get shuffled, suggesting to a mom that she abandon her child in order to get him care. And April says that is the problem, not Bradley's aggression. Services should be the same, if not better, while in her custody, and she should be able to find them around where she lives.
You better leave your brother alone. God dang it, Bradley, get off of me.
But in that moment of exhaustion, parents like April do wonder, would their child be better off?
You know, your mental health will decline. It's just a lot.
For April, the answer is no. She's been able to fight for a little more time to make arrangements, but says whether hugging her leg in the kitchen,
he's got the cutest little face, so I was like, well, boop.
or biting it in a fit of rage, she wants Bradley in the family photos, because without him, the house just feels empty.
Honestly, it's not really the house, it's me. I feel empty without my child. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. I feel empty without him. It's just how I feel on the inside, that I'm missing a huge piece.
Up next, tackling child abandonment as a team. Football. The rush of the run.
I like football.
The roar of the crowd when a touchdown is made. While we all celebrate the one holding the ball, it takes a team to walk away with the win. So it is in the game of life. Trey says with this team, he's ready. Do you think that these things would have happened had it not been for this type of program?
Probably no.
That's Trey with his foster mom, Anne-Marie Small. The program we're talking about is Therapeutic Foster Care, or TFC.
It was a whole total different ball game.
Trey came into DFACS custody when he was 5.
My teacher called DFACS and told her that my arm was burnt.
Since then, he has lived with relatives, a foster family, and in a group home. But between the abuse, bouncing around, and a mild intellectual disability, Trey didn't just need housing and love, he needed behavioral therapy.
So today we're going to talk about our anger warning signs.
Here, he gets both and more because TFC, when done right, starts with a pretty basic question that doesn't seem to get asked often in our healthcare system. What does this child need? Everyone's together.
Everyone's coming to the home. At least 4 or 5 workers come in. We sit around the table.
And that's my dad that passed away.
Those in therapeutic foster care are generally teenagers with complicated diagnoses.
They may have autism and behavior issues, and also have mental health issues.
Sally Buchanan, the founder of Creative Community Services, says training is given to both the foster and biological parents if the plan is for the child to go back home.
You can't just say, here's your kiddo back. Now you should be able to take care of this child. That's not going to happen.
You've given them no new tools.
No new tools.
So you're just going to repeat the cycle. In the past 5 years, half of the children abandoned to the state's child welfare system were placed more than once. An abandoned 10-year-old diagnosed bipolar moved around 3 more times because either the caregiver couldn't cope or her behaviors were too much to manage. How important is that support team?
I don't think this program could succeed without them.
But the program is limited. Creative Community Services can only handle about 77 teenagers in state custody each year.
We probably get 4 referrals a week of kids that they are living in hotels, and it's because no one can serve them, but we don't have the resources to serve them.
You heard right, hotels with 24/7 staff supervision. In 2019, DFACS paid to hotel more than 600 children. The cost? Roughly $1,400 a day. That is nearly 4 times as expensive as a residential treatment facility and 5 times more expensive than TFC.
Money does not solve things. What solves things is the right amount of money plus the right service at the right time.
Georgia isn't alone. According to a national study, 2/3 of states have written a law or regulation to prohibit children from being abandoned for medical care. That's why Colorado is taking a different approach.
So my name is Stacy Davis, and I'm the program manager for the Children and Youth Mental Health Treatment Act.
Colorado lawmakers created a fund to help under and uninsured children access mental health services.
Families lacked the ability to pay out of pocket for these needed services, and the result was they were turning to child welfare.
In 2020, the program's annual report says caseworkers helped 185 children find and pay for mental health services. Of those discharged, 60% were no longer at imminent risk of being abandoned.
The number is small, but the impact, I hope, is huge.
Other states are using voluntary placements. Basically, access to intensive behavioral and mental health services without requiring a parent to give up custody.
This one was...
TFC is one example. This year, Georgia lawmakers did approve funding to expand TFC for children in state custody. But the former director of DFACS hopes they'll also use it to help children at risk of being abandoned.
If you have a cut, you may go to the urgent care, or you may just need a Band-Aid. We have been working to build, and still have a lot of work to do, to build a mental health system that has that range of options the way we do for physical health.
What's one thing for you?
While expansion of the program is a positive step, it is still an extreme option and raises the question, why? Why does a child have to leave their home to get good case management and care, to get that team?
Probably.
Trey will never go back to live with his mom, but he is learning how to live independently. He has a job at McDonald's.
Clean the lobby and take out trash.
It's $25.
He is learning how to manage money and his anger. What do you think is the difference?
I get more help that I needed.
His team has taught him how to catch the ball. Now he is ready for his touchdown. Keeping Kaylee, Bradley, and Trey are just the beginning of a series. Our commitment to expose why these children are abandoned and what we can do if we hope to stop it. If you know a family with a story to tell or an amazing program that could help, Email us at thereveal@11alive.com.